Good morning. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. My name is Evan Anderson. I get to be your MC today, and I'm pretty excited about that. Thank you all for making the trip, enjoying summer. It's really, really nice. Anybody new here today? 1, 2, 3. Oh, look at that. Welcome, welcome. Well, good. I always like to know if there's some newbies here, as well as online. Thanks in part to our wonderful tech team up there. We're getting quite an audience on our live streams, too. We live stream this on Facebook and on YouTube now, though we definitely prefer, to be here. But so welcome to all of you out there as well. So without further ado, let's get this show on the road. All right, so if you have the app, please check in. It's a 1 Million Cups app. If you don't have the app, please get the app and check in. And that goes for you online as well. We like to track who's watching us here this morning. All right, this is where we thank our sponsors. These are the folks that believe in what we do and help to pay the few expenses that we do have. We're a pretty lean group, but we still need the support. Also, so thanks to these folks, but also if you'd like to see your company's name up in lights here, let us know. We'd be happy to put you there. We are having some conversations about some other events that we might tie to Million Cups, some after hours types of things, and those as meetings become a thing again. So sponsorship dollars go a long way to making that happen as well. What is 1 Million Cups? So 1 Million Cups is a free weekly program, as you know. We put an entrepreneur on stage. Basically, entrepreneurs make the world go around, and we're here to give them a push. It's kind of what, that's the Cliff Note version. I don't think the slide actually says that, but that's what we're here to do. We're here to support. We're here to listen, understand the journeys that these people are on, and also maybe lend a hand, offer some suggestions, ask some tough questions, share some contacts. I love all the conversations that go on down here after the presentation. I think a lot of great conversations are happening over our Million Cups of coffee. All right, so also we're going to have Q&A at the end. And so the best thing, we're going to have a mic runner. Peter's going to be our mic runner today. So just throw a hand up and he'll get you the mic to ask your question. Please be thinking about good questions along the way. That's really enriches this experience for everybody. So please don't be shy. Ask your questions. If you're super shy, you can ask them on our Facebook live stream, or if you're not here, raising your hand will do no good at all. So go ahead and type those questions in the chat on the Facebook live stream. So do that, or you can use hashtag 1MCND. We got Kirsten on social media. She'll ask your question for you. So also, we're debuting something with the Q&A today. As if asking a question weren't maybe awkward enough for some people, we have a new microphone for Q&A. There is a microphone in there.
Yes.
Adam?
It looks like you're drinking out of a giant cup of coffee. So don't hold it like this, because then we can't see your beautiful face. But we wanted to make asking questions a little bit more fun, so we have this big rubber cup up here. Jaden threw the idea at us about having a microphone that you could toss to people to increase engagement. So hopefully this makes things a little bit more fun. It's a little unwieldy. Probably hold it with both hands, but have fun.
Thanks, Adam. Adam has a 3D printer that spent 6 days making that. So also, Adam doesn't make it to the stage very often, but he is an integral part of that tech team up there. That I think has done an awful lot to raise our production value. And also I think has had a big hand in the amount of people we have watching our live streams. So not only are we live streaming, but it's also recorded, so you can go back and watch old episodes. You can binge watch 1MC if you want to. So thank you, Adam. Thank you, team. All right. So we started, gosh, it's been a while now, but we started doing a live job board on the first, is it the first Wednesday? Yes, first Wednesday of every month. This was Peter's baby, and I'm going to let him lead the charge here to walk us through this.
Maybe I should use the new cup, but no, I'll use this. But yeah, first Wednesday of every month we started doing this live job board. Started it last year, so we have a couple slides here. But if you have jobs that you are looking to fill, if you know of people who are looking to fill jobs, please let them know that this is available. You can, number one, send us a slide and actually show this up on the screen. We don't even require that though, so if you want to just show up and tell us about the openings that you have available, feel free to do so. So there are a couple that we can touch on today. The state of North Dakota has a number of different positions opening, and as well as seasonal positions as well coming with the spring. So nd.gov/careers, where you can find more information there. And then these are just some that I pulled from the Chamber EDC website. So if you're looking at finding some openings, you can go to the Chamber's website and see some of the positions listed there. Thanks.
Thank you, Peter. Oh, I should have mentioned it's National Anthem Day. That's kind of redundant, but just so you know, we usually like to talk about what day it is, and that is, it was also Cold Cut Day, but I didn't really know how to roll that in. So, all right. So, any community announcements? I know we've got one right off the bat with the U Mary. We'll let Robert take that one.
Good morning. I'm really happy to be here. It's my first time. I feel like the radio adage, long-time listener, first-time caller. It's my first time here. But I've been online. I've watched you. I watched you all. This venue is really sweet. I want to jump up there and dance and sing. No, that was not going to happen. Not going to happen. I'm here. Dr. Robert Martin is my name. I work at the University of Mary Workforce Development. And our goal is really to upskill, reskill, retool different folks in different ways. And the beauty of our department is we really have very little parameters. We work in a lot of different ways, a lot of different spaces, public, private, a combination of both, kind of weird. But we have a training coming up. Is that going to work? Oh, nice. Exploring Excel through project-based learning. Microsoft Excel, we all use it. Sometimes folks get frustrated by it, and this class is really designed for that beginning to intermediate person. If you are super proficient in Excel, this is not for you. Maybe you want to talk to me about maybe teaching a class for us. I know enough about Excel just to be dangerous, but man, I learned a lot. I actually sat in on this already one time, and it's pretty sweet. So. It's $99 for a 4-hour session at the Butler Center. This is project-based learning, so if you go there, please don't expect to have a facilitator in front of you and spewing information for hours on end at you, because it's learning by doing. Project-based kind of creates some pretty cool reports, financial statements, different things for maybe a upstart business and different things. Again, we're really trying to gain traction in the community. So if you have topics in mind or you have thoughts, ideas, your area of expertise, we could use you. There's people in the seats right now. Scott has done some work for us, which is sweet, awesome. Tyler Damaris has done some work for us too, equally as awesome. So, yeah, follow us on social media, Workforce Development at UMary. Get to know what we're doing. LinkedIn, Facebook, please follow us, and I think we can work together. I think there's some avenues of we can gain some traction. We want to help you. And we obviously need you guys to help us too, because we want to put these on, and the only way we can do that is if we have people signing up for our stuff. So I'm really happy to be here. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Robert. Now that you've broken the ice, hope to see you here again and again and again. So my phone's ringing. Should we see who it is? No. I think my car insurance probably. Okay, next. Oh, no, I'll take this one. For those of you who don't know who Bruce Jovig is, he ran the Center for Innovation up at UND for many, many years. Great guy. Known Bruce for years. He's got a couple of books out. One that's been out for a while called Innovative Entrepreneurs. Great book. Highly recommend it. And his new one innovative entrepreneurs from North Dakota. And in both cases, he's really kind of chronicling entrepreneurs that have come from the state. Some have left and made their fortunes outside of the state. Some have stayed here and done amazing things. And really fascinating book. Good kind of a history book on entrepreneurship in North Dakota. Anyway, he will be at Ferguson Books tomorrow from 4 to 7 doing a book signing. So I would highly recommend, he's super approachable, wonderful guy. I'd highly recommend you stop in and grab a book, have him sign it, talk to him, and read that book. It's good.
This one isn't me, but I feel like I can stand in for Ashton here. Make Well Unpredictable is coming up March 6th. If you haven't gotten your tickets, there may be some in-person still available. If not, there's some virtual viewing options as well. wearemakewell.com is where you can find those. Okay. No, it's not me. But you can check out this slide from North Dakota Council on the Arts, who are seeking stories of women from North Dakota. And Camilla Morrison is who you should visit with. Okay. Kirsten, are you sure there's a slide here for us? Okay. Rapid COVID-19 testing in North Dakota. You can check out all of those fantastic locations. Find something near you so you can get your rapid COVID test so you can travel or enter other facilities. Great. HERG is entering round 2. The application window opens March 9th, so that's coming up. It closes April 1st. www.ndresponse.gov is where you can find information about that, or you can visit with Tyler DeMars, I bet. Hey! Wow. I feel like we've come full circle finally, taking a trip around the sun. Anyway, this is us. My name is Lakin, North Dakota Women's Business Center, and I'm here to tell you about Leading Ladies Luncheon and Core Women, 2 events we have coming up the end of March. So happy Women's History Month, everybody. That is why we are celebrating with 2 fantastic events this month to celebrate all that women are and how far we've come. Okay, so that was too much. Go back. Thanks. So you can find us, March 25th is Leading Ladies Luncheon, where we highlight 5 women who are making an impact in the history of North Dakota. You can see their faces there. The next day, we're doing a networking happy hour, March 26th, at the Paddle Trap in Mandan. Both are paid events, but they're pretty nominal fees for the content. So join us. Hit me up if you have questions. Happy to help. Okay, now I'm done.
Thanks, Lakin. She works so hard. Ross, are you going to say anything about this? Are we good? Okay. So the 2021 Mandan Business Pitch Challenge. So on March 24th, there will be 5 finalists pitching, and this is kind of a big deal. This has been a really good event put on by Chamber EDC, and some really good companies have come through this program. So they will be opening this up to the public to watch these finalists give their presentations. Register by March 19th. All right. I think without further ado, we will introduce our speakers. I'm really excited to hear about this. I've read enough to really be intrigued and curious and can't wait to learn more. We've got Eric Kubischta and Gina Gordon, who are going to join us from Lucit. So give them a warm welcome, please.
Thanks. Good morning. I'm Gina Gordon. This is my business partner, Eric Kubischta. We're the co-founders of Lucit, and we built an application to connect automotive and real estate inventory to digital billboards in real time.
But what we really do is we remove barriers to buying and placing ads on digital billboards. So billboards are actually the oldest form of advertising on earth, and up until about 50 years ago, these were hand-painted. And you would hire somebody to paint a billboard, and that billboard would sit there for 3 years or 5 years or something like that. Along came things like paper and vinyl wraps, and you were able to change your message out monthly, but still you were really buying billboards for the long term. You were buying a 6-month contract or a year-long contract or even longer. In 2005, the first digital billboards came online. By 2011, there was 3,000 digital billboards in the United States, and today there's about 10,000 large format digital billboards in the United States. Digital billboards really aim to transform the billboard industry to make it so you didn't have to buy a year-long contract, but you could buy a shorter contract. However, even still today, even the fact that we have these billboards that we can connect to, there's still a lot of friction in the process for getting an ad onto a digital billboard.
The first problem that we set out to really solve is this creative problem. When you go to make a design, let's say for any sort of advertising, it's a process, right? So let's say that you're going to advertise at the inventory level, which is what we're doing. So if a car dealer has 390 vehicles, we're going to go ahead and we're going to advertise whichever vehicles they want to advertise. The old way to do that would have been to pick out your vehicle. So let's say you want to advertise this truck. You pick out your vehicle, you take your photos, you engage a graphic designer, you send him the photos, he designs it, right? Then you either approve or not approve. If that is approved, then you go ahead and you send it to your billboard sales rep, who then checks to make sure that it meets all the specifications and everything. At that point, then she sends it to her traffic team. Her traffic team, he or she's traffic team, will then load it into the appropriate slots for the contract. And then by that time, that vehicle's probably sold. So then you got to do this whole thing over again, right? So it didn't make sense at the inventory level, I think, for automotive dealers and then also for real estate, because if you have your listings, you're not going to go and make a design for each house that you have because it's going to be under contract or it's going to be pending or whatever it's going to be. It didn't make sense for digital billboards, and we wanted it to make sense for digital billboards. So by doing an automatic, like generating this template and then putting it on the digital displays, you're able to then run 30, 40 creatives at once where you would have never even thought to do that before. So that's kind of what we aim to fix, the first problem.
So what we built is we built an application that connects to inventory systems, automotive dealers, real estate, MLS systems, et cetera. There's all these databases and these data systems that store all of this information. They store the information about the cars and their photos and things like that. So that information already exists, and it exists in an accessible system that we can talk to. We then built software that generates the creatives automatically. So the ad that you see there for Patrick Koski, our software generated that automatically from a template. And then from there, we built a smartphone application that you can download from the Play Store, and the user can control the whole thing with their smartphone application. So what this did is this eliminated all those steps that Gina just talked about, where now the user can ensure that their inventory is up to date and it's there and it's real time, and if an item sells, it comes down, and if the price changes, the billboard gets the new price of that house or that car or whatever it happens to be. And we then provide real-time analytics back to the user saying, here's your billboard advertising, here's how often it's playing, and here's that it's working.
This is our app. We'll launch it here. This would be the inventory, the auto dealer's inventory. Everything in blue is what's currently running on the digital billboard. You can just tap the plus or the garbage can to add and remove, and it's that quick, and it'll automatically generate that creative, and it'll be on the board within seconds. So that is how this part works. We also have a feature that's going to come up here. It's a frequency feature, which is awesome. You can go into your inventory items, and let's say you have a car that's aged 90 days, you need to get it off of your lot. You can show that more often or less often. That's also really cool for, say, real estate. Let's say you have $1 million house that you want to run a little bit more often than maybe something else. You have complete control right there at your fingertips. And what we really aimed to do, I think, with this app was to make it extremely clean, user-friendly. I think we did that. I mean, anybody can use this. My 5-year-old can use it, so it's fine. So that's kind of what we did. I think it worked out well. This up here is the actual creative that they were running, and then that vehicle will rotate through, the price will change, and then it shows kind of where it's running. So
We also, you see the little notifications icon up there. We send notifications. So on my phone this morning, I got a notification that a vehicle in Pennsylvania sold, and it just came off a billboard. That's on a big interstate in eastern Pennsylvania.
So Lucit formed in April of 2019. Eric and I formed this company. We wanted to focus primarily on big ticket inventory. That's going to be ag and automotive and real estate. And really what we were going to do was market that inventory. We've been doing that for many years. And so we kind of figured we would stay in the online world. We didn't really think we were going to be venturing like this. And then it kind of took this turn. So this is where we're at.
So in early November of 2019, my wife and I were sitting in the drive-through at Taco John's on 3rd Street. And when you're sitting in that drive-through and you're waiting for your food, you can see a big billboard it's run by iDigital. It's a big billboard. And I was sitting there in the car and I was watching this billboard, flip through the ads. And this ad came up for Hot 97.5, the local radio station. And it said Hot 97.5, and then it said the name of the song that was playing. And I think it was a Billie Eilish song. So I told my wife, I said, Emily, turn the radio. I just want to see what's on the radio. And she turned it on, and sure enough, the song that was on this big giant billboard was playing on the radio. And I should have known this already, but it really all clicked in that minute that this billboard is a giant computer screen on a pole on the side of a road. And that's all that it is. And this giant computer screen is connected to the internet. So my gears sort of went a little bit more, and I thought, I can put cars on this board. So I think that night I called Gina, and I said, let's put cars on digital billboards. So we started talking about this, and we're like, well, what do we know about digital billboards? Nothing. So we really started, okay, so what do we do? Later in November, we called iDigital, there's 3 big companies in Bismarck, one of them is iDigital. We called iDigital Fargo, and we pitched the concept to them. We said, here's what we want to do. And they were really gung-ho for it. They got us in touch with the developers of the software that runs the player on that board. It's a company called Apparatix in Fort Collins, Colorado. We met with them, and we built out our very first sort of rudimentary integration to test this concept. Can we put cars on a digital billboard?
And then 8 weeks later, we had Bismarck Motor Company as our first test. They ran for a week. We wanted to just see, can this be done? And it worked great. And then the real work began, because then we thought, okay, well, now we got to build an app, and we got to make this function, and we got to do all of these things and make it nice and tight. So that started after that in January of 2020.
So in 2020, the rest of 2020 was all about R&D, building, testing. We tested with a number of different billboards in North Dakota. We hired 2 employees, a local guy to do DevOps work for us, and we hired a React front-end developer for our app. And he's actually based in Kiev, Ukraine. And we started to build this app out. And I think it was, we had COVID, which was a big problem for the billboard industry. Billboard revenues in 2020 were down 30% worldwide in 2020. We built an app for the automotive industry, an industry that had no cars for sale because all the inventory was gone in 2020. So it was but actually, this all happened at the perfect time, because this gave us 2020 to learn about the out-of-home industry, learn about digital billboards, meet and talk to the players in this industry, and get our app working and get it really, really tight. The future, the growth of digital billboards worldwide over the next 10 years is going to be drastic. We are looking currently at about anywhere from 600 to 1,000 new large format roadside digital billboards coming online in the United States every single year. There's about 10,000 right now. But there is over 1 million static, either paper or vinyl, static displays in the United States. So there is a lot of stuff out there that's waiting to be converted to digital. The barriers to that are a lot of it ends up being cost, and a lot of it also ends up being network, and then also regulation. So there's a lot of cities that are saying we don't want to look like Las Vegas, and so there's been a lot of push and pull about whether or not we can run digital billboards. In fact, in Montana, if you drive through Montana, you will not see a digital billboard because the state outlaws them. So this stuff is changing, and it will change, because when you see the billboards in town, it does not look like Las Vegas here. It looks like a really nice, it almost looks like a static. The screens are so good. Programmatic buying will transform the digital, and it is transforming the digital billboard industry. The way that you buy digital billboards right now is still, like Gina said, what we talked about earlier, it's cumbersome. But these things are being connected together, and networks are being built to sort of connect all of this stuff together. And we are not limited to just auto and real estate. These are just 2 big ticket inventory systems that we built connectors for, but we can really connect to any type of inventory system, and we can develop any type of creative, no matter what it is. We actually did a big concept pitch about 3 or 4 weeks ago for a giant grocery store chain out on the East Coast about running their specials. Right now, they are running 1 special a week on digital billboards, but everywhere else, they're running all their specials. And the reason is because of the process. So we built something to help them advertise all their specials. Jewelry stores, no problem. Innovating new app capabilities and new features, really coming up with new ways to think about how can you use a giant 50-foot screen. And we're developing this stuff. We have a feature in beta right now, which we're calling PhotoStream, but it's really like Instagram for a digital billboard. So if you post to Instagram, what would it feel like to do that same thing on a giant 50-foot screen? Well, we built the app that can do that, and we're testing it right now. And then finally, large format roadside billboards aren't the only thing. There's 100,000 small format digital out-of-home screens in the United States and Canada. These are things like street furniture and bus stops. You see them in bigger cities, subways and office buildings, small screens, airports. On the tops of Ubers in a lot of cities right now are digital billboards, and they're driving around with digital billboards on top of those cars, and these are all connected together.
We've faced a number of challenges, obviously, over the last year and a half. One of them was obviously the crash course in out-of-home advertising, which we were not familiar with. Like, you buy it in slots. How do you buy it? Why do you sell it that way? We had to learn all that, right? But I'll have Eric kind of speak to the technical integrations first, and then we can kind of go on.
Yeah, the technical integrations are, for all these digital billboards, there's really a sort of a set number of software companies that build players that run these boards. So over the last year, we've really had to build out not only the technical integrations with these players, but we have to form really strong relationships with the companies that run this software, because we have to make sure that our software works correctly with their software. It's tight, it's delivering the features that we want, and it's good for us and it's good for them.
We've had some issues with our sales model. We're really trying to hone that in, because at this point we're selling to operators, so out-of-home operators. Then those operators are selling to the client, to the end client. So we aren't technically selling our product to the end client, which makes it a little bit difficult, because you have a billboard sales rep that this is a brand new thing that they're selling. It's data feed systems. They don't necessarily know what we can and can't bring in and what the rules are, and so we need to make it, we need to make those sales reps feel empowered to sell the product and feel knowledgeable enough to walk in and say, this is something new, it's awesome, here's what we can do. They need to know just enough to make that sale and be dangerous, and then we kind of help them along the way. But it absolutely has been a little bit difficult, because there is a middleman. We have to train the operator, then we have to train the sales rep, and then we usually get on an end call with the client themselves. But that's been definitely something we've had to look at. And then really, how do we train the billboard sales agents at 1,000 places in the United States? It's actually a staffing issue. We're going to need a lot more people to be able to train all of these sales reps to sell the product and speak to the product. And then another thing that happened, we did get some national press back in July. We were still in testing. We had a couple of publications write stories on us, and we had our phones were actually ringing kind of off the hook at that point. We were busy doing Zoom calls every single hour with operators on the East Coast, and then we did get international interest, which we weren't exactly ready for. And we did, we did kind of wonder at first, are we first to market? Does this exist? And really, after we had all that national press, it was quite clear that this does not exist anywhere, not in the US, not in Europe. So we definitely have had to kind of navigate international business and how are we going to sell. So that's something we're still looking through. Then the pricing model, right? So we can price this so many ways. You can price it per dealer, per screen, per slot, per play. What we came from is a CPM basis, which is a cost per thousand. We've really kind of dialed in on that, I feel like. So 2021, we're ready to go. We know what our pricing model is, but in the beginning, it was really challenging to I can't even tell you how many times we talked about pricing and we're just like, let's go home. We can't talk about it anymore. It's like the worst thing ever, because your price has to be right. It has to be that sweet spot. And for some reason, it wasn't really the best price for the operator or for us or for the end client. It was good for somebody and not good for the other. So that's kind of how we had to navigate all that. We've dialed it in finally, and thank God we did. And so that's where we're at.
And that's it. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having us.
Over there?
Sure. Yeah. Where does one?
I'll take the scruffy red one here. Thank you. All right, Peter is going to haul the big mug around, so if you have questions, you don't have to throw it at them, actually. Scott has a question right off the bat.
Got to be the first with the mug. It is really hard not to try and tip this. Thanks for presenting, guys. So in coming from, so like when you're doing web advertising, you can obviously look at KPIs such as impressions, conversion rates, and so forth, and you can use that to adjust your CPM for pricing. How do you do that with digital billboard? What KPIs do you look at so you can convey the value to your customers to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing?
We've had this conversation a lot. So we call it attribution, but right, it's attribution. It's saying I'm spending $1 here, and is that making me money over here at the end, right? Online, that is easy to do. Online, you run all these ads, and these ads perform this many clicks. They reach this kind of audience. They produce this this conversion on your website. And with billboards, you don't have that. But in the billboard industry, there's been a lot of work towards how do we create attribution for these billboards? And there's companies like Geopath out there that are making that are doing data, and they're saying this many people are driving your board, and it's these kinds of people, and we have these mobile phones, and so we know what they're doing after they drive by the billboard. But really, here's the deal: at the end of the day, you're never going to out Facebook, and you're never going to out Google with a board. So what you really have to focus on when you're talking about digital billboards is what does the digital billboard bring that Google doesn't? And what does a digital billboard bring that Facebook doesn't? And really what it is your ad is 50 feet wide on the side of the road, and there's thousands of cars driving by that ad every single day. And these are people who, maybe your online models aren't hitting because your online model is saying, find me somebody who's interested in F-150s. Well, Facebook only knows this many people that are interested in F-150s. It doesn't know all these people. So that's where the billboards really come in. It's part of the overall strategy. And really, beyond that, you have a lot of changes coming to the attribution model online, especially this year. A lot of it's being driven by Apple, and a lot of this is also happening in Europe. But with Apple, you have this new iOS update coming in May. And starting in May, your phone is going to say, if you're an Apple user, when you launch Facebook, it's going to say, do you want Facebook to track you outside of Facebook? And every user is going to have to say yes or no to that question. And studies have shown that 60 to 70% of people are saying no. And that's going to destroy attribution models for a lot of advertising online moving forward. Did I answer your question?
Wow. Shania?
This is so cool. I did want to ask a question, but mainly I wanted to hold the mug. No, actually, you two are amazing. You're incredible. You're awesome.
Thank you.
So I'm sitting here, though, and I'm going, who are these incredible people? You kind of started your story with Lucit and then went forward, which is way cool. But could you give us a little behind the scenes? Like, how did you two get to here? Because you're like a super awesome dynamic duo here. Just a little bit of the backstory, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, Eric and I have been working together for, it's been 12 years now?
Yes, 2009.
2009. And we worked at our former employment together for 10 years, and then we both left and then formed this company. And what I did was I worked mainly with automotive dealers and real estate clients throughout the state, and then even into Canada. And we did inventory systems. So this was very familiar to us. Eric is basically a genius. I'm just happy to be his partner, but he's a genius, and he's done, he's built these systems before. He was a global account manager for Microsoft in Asia and wherever else?
It was for Sykes.
Asia
but it was
and
for
Americas?
Microsoft Business in Asia and India.
Right,
and
so
America.
it's like amazing. And so he always has these great things, these ideas, and he's able to execute, and we've really I think we're just a really good team because we balance each other out in a really good way. So it kind of made sense for us to just kind of do our thing and build this together. And I don't know how you feel about all that, but
Yep, that's right. So good.
that's kind of that's where we came from.
All right, social media.
Hello, hello. This is just fun. All of it's super fun. The cup, your enthusiasm for your product, it's really cool to see you guys talk about it together. I guess one question that I have, coming from a marketing background, is how so your product is for people who are marketing big ticket items. When does it become something like this is a public service announcement? Do you have anything set up for that so that maybe those smaller, maybe local businesses or local organizations can tap into this as well?
maybe you want to go photos.
Yeah, so we have to look at this sort of in the short and the long term. So this first, I guess you could call it version of our product. This first version of our product is really about the contract. So it's the contract that the billboard operator has with you as an advertiser. So you bought a contract, and what we do is we help provide that creative stream for that contract. So if you are a nonprofit and you have a billboard advertising contract or you have slots on a billboard, we can definitely power that in certain ways. We can use our photo stream application. So there's ways to do that. But really, it's sort of not built for that today, I guess, if that sort of makes sense. If you're going to run a PSA, you're going to call your billboard rep and just say, here's my PSA, run this PSA. But the long-term story is very, very different. The long-term story is about building applications that help you do that automatically and help you just say, here's my app, I want to buy these 6 billboards, and I want to run this ad, and I want to spend $35. And that's the future of it, and that's really sort of what, not only us, but the entire industry is really working towards.
Oh, Shania again. Back to the cup.
Sorry. All right, and this may be obvious to everybody else, but so you are selling, and you did a beautiful job of describing, so you are selling to the people who provide the billboards, right?
Yes.
So they sign on a new real estate agent, for example. What is involved with getting that real estate company's inventory in? So I think you've done a great job of constraining. You really only have to worry about interfacing with the billboard companies, but how did they handle integrating with each individual company and how they manage their inventory?
Right, actually, we have to do that as well. So, so we do integrate not only with the billboard company, but those are kind of the new integrations for us. We haven't had to do those before. But these other ones we've done a lot before. So let's say it's an automotive client. There's probably 60, 70 companies that do this, that will feed the inventory to, say, Auto Trader, Car Gurus, wherever they're going to feed that inventory. And we've worked with these companies for many years. So that is something we know very well. Same with MLS system. There's Flex MLS, and there's help me with the other ones.
There's like IDX, and there's various
So there's
protocols. Yeah.
there's lots of different back-end systems that we talk to. So then what happens is that operator says, okay, well, I have a client and they use CDK Global for their data feed. So then we get on the phone with CDK Global, we set up that data feed, we get it coming in through the app, and that can take, we had one that took like literally 30 minutes last week, or it can take a week or two. It just depends on the company and the communication between us. So that's who we generally work with. So we do have to have connections on both sides, one to the operator and then one to the end client's database, if that makes sense. Does that answer your question?
So do you build enough margin in to kind of cover some of that work with their clients, or is that kind of done in a separate agreement?
No, it's essentially built in. Because we look at, there's the short and long term. Most of the beginning work is then the upfront, right? So there's a bunch of upfront work, and then there's the long term part of the contract. So we sort of just take all that into account as we came up with our pricing. So.
Cool. I got a question too about IP. You talked about kind of first to market. It appears that you're there. How do you stay there? What is it a speed thing?
Yes.
Are you keeping your eyes open? Yeah.
Got to move fast.
That's exactly what it is. We have to move fast. We have to just make our product the best at what it is. It's very difficult to get software patents, and it's difficult to defend software patents. So really, our focus is making sure that our app is the best, and that's what we do. And we have really a technical expertise that we brought to this that a lot of companies don't have, or most other companies don't have. So we sort of have this advantage, right? And that's what we're leveraging right now.
First and best is, I guess, a good way to go, and then staying there is going to keep you guys hopping, I'm sure. Peter.
To piggyback off that question a little bit, you showed the timeline from kind of inception to today. What does that timeline look like for the remainder of this year and maybe the next 1 to 3 years?
Good question. You want to take it?
Well, it's tough to know, right? I think it's a lot of this stuff. We're sort of at the stage in the game where we're a small company and there's only so much we can do, right? So we're at sort of this stage of we gotta sell, we gotta get our product out there, and we're gonna then use that to build and deploy all these new features, these things we want to do.
It's really changing kind of daily, hourly. Sometimes it's like you never know what the week's gonna throw at you. So it definitely is something that we'd like a plan. I love a plan, let me tell you. So it drives me nuts when you're kind of like in limbo with some stuff. I kind of can't deal with that. But that's how it is, and that's starting a business, and that's being an entrepreneur, and that's, I wish I could plan everything, but I can't. And so we just have been kind of enjoying the ride and working hard and trying to figure out how to move this thing forward, talk to as many operators as possible, and let people know that this does exist. And, there really is a unique challenge letting people know this exists, because even operators, when you talk to them, they're like, well, that's okay. I already get the weather on my digital billboard. We already connect to this dynamic weather display. And I'm like, well, no, that's not what I'm saying. So you kind of have to do this whole education on exactly what you're talking about, because they're like, well, what do you mean? We already have auto dealers. They put vehicles on there. I'm like, well, yeah, maybe they put one vehicle on there, So you really have to spend the time to say the right things, to educate the operators on really what this can do and its capabilities, and that it doesn't exist right now. Because when you're selling something, everybody's either heard it before or they don't want to hear it and they've shut you out already. So it is a little bit difficult to kind of just break the ice and say, this is brand new, this is going to be super effective. If your sales reps go in, at least they're going to go in and sell this auto dealer something that they've never been sold before. And that's really difficult to say in advertising, because everybody's selling you the same stuff. They're telling you they're the best. And that's just the way it is. That's how it is in sales. And these auto dealers, they're sick of it. They want to hide under their desk. They don't want to deal with it. So at least you can go in knowing, okay, this is something brand new. He's never been pitched it before, and then pitch it like crazy. So I think that's been exciting and really kind of given some renewed interest to these sales reps that maybe didn't go in and talk to realtors, didn't go talk to auto dealers because either they didn't buy or they bought a certain way. And I'm kind of rambling now, but they do buy a certain way. They do branding, right? So they'll do generic branding. Here we are, we're the Chevy dealer, and we've been here for 30 years. And this is what we're going to do because we have a vinyl wrap, or because it's too difficult to change the creative. Now, if they do change the creative and they say, okay, we're going to run a vehicle, it's going to be a lease ad, because the franchise says, okay, here's your lease for the month. You get those incentives on the first week of the month. You run those for 3 weeks. Then you get your next incentives. You run those for 3 weeks. And that's just how that works, right? But their highest margins are on their used inventory. So you want to get that used inventory up on the billboards and promote it like crazy. So I think that's what we're trying to do here, is we're really trying to change the way people think about digital advertising, how it can be done, how it can be bought, and I know we're going to do that. So,
Cody.
This is more of a compliment than a question, but my mind is kind of blown that in our small community that this is like a first time almost innovative idea, in the sense that our world is so technical. Like the tech is so advanced around the world, and the fact that in our small community that you guys have this product that is so new is really cool to me. So I guess it's more of a compliment than a question, but I'm just surprised that in a global community in the tech world and in all the apps that are merging, that this is kind of a first time startup innovative product. So that's really cool.
thank you.
It is cool. They'll be in Bruce Jovig's next book, maybe. Just trying to put myself in your shoes a little bit. You've got a full plate. There's a lot of moving parts. You're trying to move a lot of things forward. You're trying to stay ahead of any would-be competition. I want to talk a little bit about financing this, and not only up to this point. Have you bootstrapped to this point? But what do you need to do to go forward to really scale this thing? Gina, you talked about people, adding people just to make those connections. There's maybe there are ways to automate some of that, but how do you just make that happen so fast that nobody else can catch you?
We're self-funded, so we're fortunate that we were able to self-fund this operation. We do recognize, and we've had conversations, that we probably can't self-fund this forever. So yeah, those are definitely conversations that we're having internally about what do we move forward with, and how does that work. And what we know about the way that large companies are financed is not very much, right? So it's a lot of learning for us, and how are things like this structured, and those are things that we are learning about and trying to navigate as well. So when the time comes that we do need to do that we're making a deal that's good for us.
There's some people in this community that have been down that road that I think would be probably happy to talk to you. So we'll maybe hook you up. All right, back here.
Yeah, I'm curious. how focused you are on small screens versus the big screens. Because I keep imagining, I'm remembering the movie Minority Report, and this kind of feels like a step towards that day when you're walking down the street and you get personalized ads.
That's already happening.
Yeah.
And so it's already happening. And the thing about billboards, which is different than the internet, is you can't install an ad blocker to turn off a billboard, right? Because there it is. It's on the road. It's on the street. So with small screens, a lot of the small screen inventory right now, really most of it is indoors. So it's going to be in malls and in parking ramps, and it's going to be at gas pumps and things like that. That's where most of that inventory is right now. But I think the thing for us, the thing that excites us about small screen inventory is things like the side of a bus stop in Chicago. There's a company called JC2Co. They're the largest outdoor out-of-home company in the world, and we had a conversation with them about 3-4 months ago about their billboards, their side billboards that they have sort of at walking level on the street. And the nice thing about those is they're not roadside, which means that you can run animation and video on them. So that allows us to sort of work through this idea of building really amazing creatives that are based on video and motion. Did I answer your question?
I suspect a lot of the growth in just the numbers of these screens is driven by cost. I would guess the cost of these are coming down pretty dramatically.
And here's an amazing thing, too. There's a company called Formeco. They're the largest manufacturer of billboards for independent outdoor billboard operators. They just announced it's essentially a refurbishment and replacement program for the billboards that were installed 10 years ago. Because the technology has moved so fast that the pixel depths of these billboards 10 years ago are now old. And they're being replaced. So that's how fast the tech is moving.
Talk about billboard operators. Is there, I don't know what the regulatory world looks like there, but if you own a piece of property along a highway, can you be a billboard operator if you buy one of these things and connect in and
Every community is different.
Yeah, every state.
So it all depends. Like I said, in Montana, there's no digital billboards, but there's billboards. In Maine, there's no billboards at all on the side of a highway. I think there's a lot of restrictions on, there's some federal highway regulations related to digitals on roadside. So there's a lot, and that's a lot of stuff, honestly, that we don't understand. And there's, within these big outdoor companies, there's a guy that it's his job to understand what all these, what all these laws are and stuff. So it's complex, for sure.
Disney could just play movies that just progress along the highway and you just watch as you go. Question back here.
Yeah, thanks for presenting. Tell us a little bit about your name and logo, how you came about, and the history.
Okay, so, it's so funny. It's really funny, actually. It's not that funny, but it's stupid is what it is. It doesn't mean anything, which is fine. We were trying to figure out a good name for our company, something witty, something, that was just whatever. And everything that we thought of, we searched it, and it was taken. Everything under the sun has been used. I mean, at one point I said, what about salamander? And I'm not kidding, there's so many companies. Salamander, I was just kidding, but it was unbelievable. And so finally, I was at my house, and I have a lot of I'm really into vintage and things like that, and I have Lucite. I had some Lucite candle holder or something. I said, well, what about Lucite? That's clear, that's can mean all these things. And then, we couldn't take that either. So then he's like, well, why don't we just have it be Lucit? And I'm like, well, what is that? And he's like, I don't know, let's just spell it different. And I'm like, okay, so that's literally how he came up with this name. And actually, it's a good thing because we don't have any issues with trademark. We don't have any issues with anything because nobody knows what Lucit is. It's not a thing. So it's just our
There is a
made-up word.
restaurant in South Africa named Lucit.
That is true, yeah. There is.
But they're not.
We don't know what kind of food they have.
And really, the logo was kind of a play on, I don't know if you've seen 1950s, 60s breeze blocks that are they're mid-century kind of architecture thing. And it really means nothing. It's just kind of a cool, we needed something that was circular.
It probably made getting a trademark fairly easy.
Yeah.
And probably also URL. Things like that,
Yep.
maybe.
Well,
The URL was taken.
It was taken.
Lucid.com was taken, but we got Lucid.
Because of the number of digits, probably. Yeah. Kirsten.
We've got a question from social media. Danielle asks, social media and digital marketing has had a huge push in recent years. With the new updates you've mentioned, how do you see marketing shifting? Is it going back to more traditional marketing? Are there new trends emerging that may compete with billboards? Anything you see?
It'll be driven by you. It'll be driven by people saying really it's going to be driven by people saying what do they want this software to be able to do and to not be able to do. And the more that people say that they want more privacy, and the more that people say that they don't want to be tracked, that is going to be respected. Either it's going to be respected by companies like Apple, private companies that say we're going to, we're in the business of our selling phones, not selling advertising, or it's going to be forced upon us by the government. And that may not happen here, but it's happening in Europe, in the European Union. So I really think it's going to be all about privacy, and that's really what's going to drive change in the marketing world. It's been the Wild West, really, for the past 15 years. It really has. So we're going to start to see a lot of clampdown.
So thank you for answering the question. A potential client maybe for you, have you thought about doing training for marketing agencies? Is that part of your plan?
Yes, for sure. I think that marketing agencies could really benefit from this tool because it saves so many labor hours on creative and on just management. They can manage their clients' advertising extremely simply. So I think for sure, yes, that. Secondly, I don't think we talked really much about on-premise signage, but some auto dealers, some realtors, they'll have, a digital LED sign outside of their business that they own, right? And the reason we came up with this was because I was talking to a friend of mine, Rob Wilkinson, and he was talking about getting a sign in front of his dealership, Dan Porter, and he's like, we were going to buy this sign, then we decided we didn't want to buy the sign. He said, because it was just, who's going to manage this sign? Because you still have to do that, right? You still have this creative barrier. Who's going to do this? And nobody really was offering to change the sign. So that's a huge investment to buy the sign, right? So then we were like, well, our software can run the sign. So then our software could run all of their vehicles on this sign or all of their houses on the sign. So that's a whole other angle with, let's say, Daktronics, for Metco, Watchfire, they all manufacture these boards that we already can connect to. So then they can just have our software, use it, and populate their own signs that they own. So that's a whole other angle that we haven't, it's already done, but we haven't fully started a sales cycle on it or explored it, but that's just a natural kind of second thing. So for sure, that's where we're going with that too.
It's a huge benefit for the people selling signs.
Right.
It's got to be so much easier to sell a sign if you're not shackling your customer to this responsibility over and over. It's a system then rather than just a sign.
Yeah, and we have a meeting later this month with a local sign company, and it's going to be all about sort of figuring this out. Like, how do we price that? How do we put it together? What's the best? How do we make this work for everybody? And yeah, so I think definitely it's another way to make money. So.
Yeah, get in the sign company or in the sign business maybe.
Yeah.
If you don't have enough going on. Janya?
Hi, me again. So I want to, is this, so my understanding is this is both of you your first entrepreneurial endeavor? Or
yeah.
Right? All right. So a lot of times, one of our favorite things is when we get somebody on stage who has just recently taken that leap. Right? You're just all right, I left the job thing and I'm doing my own thing. So I would love to know kind of how did you decide it was time to take that leap? Did you leap before the product? Did the product drive the leap? And after that, just quickly, what's been your most positive surprise? Whoa, I didn't realize being an entrepreneur, this cool thing. And what's been more wow, I'd really like to just go back and get a day job?
You want to take it?
Well, we definitely leaped before we had an idea. So
Yeah.
we both leaped, and then we said, now what do we do? But a couple of things. After we leaped, we really had a nice break, and it was nice actually for about a few months, and it was really nice to just relax for a little while.
Watch some Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
We just, I think we were watching it at the same time. Just binge watching Netflix and whatever, and just being because we worked so hard for so many years, and it was nice to just leap into our houses and not do anything for a hot minute, and then we didn't realize, and then 2020 came along, and it was like,
oh boy,
wow, we were ready to work in 2020. What's happening now? we took our break, but
so yeah.
So how long was it from that aha moment in the drive-through to at least kind of a semi-working concept,
That
enough
was
to
about
know that
8
that
weeks.
was.
It was 8 weeks until we proved that the concept worked. And then what we decided was you can sell a concept, but it's extremely difficult to sell a concept as a salesperson. They need something that they can see and they can understand. And as soon as you show them this, and especially with something they understand, so they're looking at this and they're like, well, there's all my inventory. This is easy enough, right? So that is what really cements that sale is the actual app itself. Because it's difficult to sell a concept. Actually, we were just talking to a sales rep the other day that said, I've pitched this a bunch of times, but it's hard to say in concept. And I was thinking, it's almost impossible to sell it in concept, because that's what I have to do kind of initially to the operators is sell it in concept, and then we usually do Zoom calls and then show them a demo of the application, and then it's like this aha, like, wow, okay, well, let's get the sales team on board. Let's do this. So. It is difficult at first to kind of explain it. You can't explain it quickly, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Cody.
just piggybacking off of Janya, as an entrepreneur or someone who's wanting to take that leap, obviously making sure you can pay your bills is a scary part of taking that leap. So out of curiosity, from kind of the creation being born or thinking of this concept to your first maybe pay, or I don't know if you want to call it a paycheck, but kind of when you first made revenue off of the concept, just out of curiosity, the timeline.
Took about a year.
Okay.
So it's definitely a long process, and I think that we both didn't think it would take a year, right? So I think one of the biggest advice that I would ever have is, like, if you have an idea, plan 5 times as long, before you're comfortable. So. And I think anybody would tell you the exact same thing, but.
And a year is actually especially for that type of business, I think you've been on a fast track. I mean, just seeing what you've accomplished so far, you guys are doing great. If there aren't any other questions, we are to the end of our time, and I think we'll see if Peter just left. I don't know, was his arm tired from hoisting that new mic? So. All right. So, Janya, would you please ask the last question for us today?
Me again. I'm sorry. I'm everywhere. I've got a cup fetish here. So we always ask the same last question, and that is, what can we as a Bismarck Mandan 1 Million Cups community do to help you at Lucit succeed?
I think what we want you to do is, when you drive down Expressway and you see that big 50-foot billboard, I want you to ask yourselves, what can I do on that billboard? And it's going to be people like you thinking about what can I do on that billboard that's going to drive us to innovate the products to make that happen. So that's what we'd ask for.
No, yeah.
All right.
All right, let's give it up for these two.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so if you would like to be on our stage, all you have to do is go to the 1 Million Cups website, and there's a very, very easy apply to present procedure you go through. That application comes through to the organizing team, and we'll work with you. There's a lot of support that comes with that, so you're not just hanging out there on your own. So please, if you've got something going and you would like that feedback, if you want to be up here, please do apply. And so upcoming, next week we've got Downtown Developers, SBDC Day on the 17th, which is on St. Patrick's Day, and we've got a really fun random act of art for you that day. You don't want to miss that. And then March 24th, Workforce and Career Path Innovation Panel. So with that, thank you. Have a great rest of your week.